Things are slowing down for the Mandalorian and Grogu when it comes to news because, well, Disney is feeling the blues and that's not going to change. But folks, we're here for at least one more video to say it's somehow getting worse. This time, grab the hearse because Star Wars somehow managed to underperform not only Dial of Destiny, but even a Rachel Zegler movie. We'll give you the list right now. It's unbelievable, ladies and gentlemen, but here we are out of that Park Place and written by yours truly with a Ford-style stretching of the emblem. We like that, eh? The Mandalorian and Grogu is now projected to underperform Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny, adjusted for inflation, and without two. But Fleabag and Kathleen Kennedy's worst ever, the thing that destroyed Indy and may have sent Kathleen Kennedy packing, is going to perform better than Mandalorian and Grogu. It says if the Mandalorian and Grogu finishes its worldwide run near $350 million, as projections now seem to point towards, the conversation around the film will move beyond whether it underperformed. It will become a comparison point for some of the most painful modern lows in franchise filmmaking. Now, THR, they had the Disney executive that said it's a $600 million break even. There are a lot of people out there trying to walk that back that you can't. You just can't walk it back. It's out there. Disney said $600 million. It's $600 million. We can always pretend there's some other way, but it just is. Disney's going to lose $250 on this, probably, in terms of being in the negative. And so we thought, wouldn't it be fun if we compared this to other franchise lows? And I got to tell you, Tron Ares is still going to be lower when all is said and done. So Tron Ares made $146 million adjusted for inflation, which it just came out last year. So the inflation only moved it by $4 million. But Tron Ares is still going to be terrible. Shazam is still worse. We got the Marvels, okay? Marvels is at 224. Mando's going to beat that. It may have already beaten it. I'm not sure. Lightyear made 256 adjusted for inflation. But I'll tell you this, you all remember Lightyear. It's not been so long ago. Look, it made 226 worldwide. Adjusted for inflation, it's at 256. To give you an idea of just how fast movie ticket prices are increasing, even as inflation in other sectors of the economy has softened, movie ticket prices continue to rise. All right, The Flash, 100 yards dash, freaking weird Ezra Miller, just about would have made it to $300 million, adjusted for inflation. And that means now we're competitive because there is no guarantee that it gets to 300, but I would give it a 90% chance that Mando makes it there. X-Men Dark Phoenix, this starts getting interesting. Dark Phoenix, which was just an abomination at the box office, made $327 adjusted for inflation. So let's hold there. Panel, what say you? Are we going to see Mando and Grogu cross the 327? I'll start with Lauren because Lauren, you have a avant-garde thought on this, I think. Lauren, are we going to cross Dark Phoenix adjusted for inflation?
I don't think so. I'm still holding it between 300 and 311.
That's rough, Lauren. So to get there, let me explain this, because you're not crazy. I mean, you might be crazy, but in this case, you're not crazy.
Thanks, pal.
You're welcome, pal. The numbers, Mandalorian, right now at 246, okay? That's of the, that's Sunday. We don't have Monday numbers in yet. 246.9, we'll call it 245. Here's the problem, and if we go down the box office and we look at this, folks, the only reason it outperformed the projections is because the first day was a holiday, and it doesn't recognize in the chart. It's fallen down below where it should be now. Okay. So the problem is that in a day, 2 days, Masters of the Universe comes out. And it really doesn't matter if Masters of the Universe bombs or not. It's going to take away all the PLFs because contractually it has access to the PLF. So it's going to be on all the IMAXs. It's going to be on all the best screens. So that's going to cut Mando's box office in like half in terms of the average ticket price. So Lauren, that's how you're getting there, correct? Is looking at that and saying, okay.
That, and I think this is the last weekend it has any chance to perform coming up. After that, I think it's just done. Right.
So if we go back, let me pull that back up again. If we go back to the chart to explain this again for folks, 247 is where it's at right now. Okay, 247. Maybe that just updated for us. 247, and if it holds the same number of tickets sold in weekend number 3 as it did in weekend number 2, it would still have something like a 40 to 50% drop because the price per ticket is going to drop about that amount. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Okay. All right. So then you add on, it may have a precipitous drop in people attending, and you can see we might actually have back-to-back 70% drop weekends. So Lauren's not crazy, at least not on this one. Okay, so Dark Phoenix is now, we're in competition for that. Terminator Dark Fate, adjusted for inflation, $338. And that one might beat it. Per the projections currently that we may have to adjust soon, Mandalorian Grogu is projected to come in at $350. We know that. That means it will fall to The Hunger Games, The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes, a Rachel Zegler film. That's right. Mando, Star Wars, after 7 years, will fall to Rachel Zegler.
Did she get that credit? Rachel Zegler film? Because,
she should say, I'm better than Star Wars now. And then finally, Indiana Jones, The Dial of Destiny. This is going to be the thing we got to pay attention to. If Mando were to somehow break 384, everybody's going to say in the legacy media, they're going to say, well, at least it beat Indiana Jones, The Dial of Destiny. But adjusted for inflation, it's 417, and there is no way possible that Mando makes it there. There's no way. It's not crossing 400. That's out. That's gone. Wiz, what say you?
I'm still in shock the fact that we have a Star Wars movie in theaters, and within 10 days, we see a 70% drop. I'm still not over that. So we're talking about like the dollars of where's this thing going to land? We've already crashed and burned. Like we're smoldering right now. We've never been more game over than we are now. And what's crazy is if we check the internet, we check the Google on the internet machine, we're going to see Disney fans in a rare form losing their minds, trying to come up with any possible way to shift the goalpost. That actually this is great. This is what Disney always wanted. It's okay. It's not underperforming. People are being extremely disingenuous about what the actual budget was to make this thing. They're still holding that 165 million mark, and then they're saying that, oh well, this movie, it was more about the merchandising collabs. Oh, it was about the toy sales were more important than the actual movie itself. There's advertising dollars behind this. That matters more. Companies advertising using the Star Wars branding. The Star Wars branding means nothing. No one's going to see this movie. It was a front-loaded weekend. And even then, it didn't do as well as it should have in its first weekend. It should have been way better than it was.
But even more importantly, the people who did go, the fanatic fans, the people who I'm going to go see it, I don't care what anybody says, when all of their friends asked them, should I go next weekend? They obviously said no. They said, wait for it to show up on streaming. It's not that great, even if they liked it. And that's right. Huge. The word of mouth fall off connection is there,
So who's taking the blame for this is the question I want to go to. This is losing to a Rachel Zegler film. Exceedingly hard to do. It's losing to the most humiliating film in the history of Lucasfilm, Indiana Jones, The Dial of Destiny. It's a 7-year return for Star Wars. Who takes the blame? Because somebody has to take the blame for this. You know how Hollywood works. So I don't know if it's Filoni. I don't know if it's Favreau. I don't know if it's Pedro. It's Pedro. I mean, he's gone, period. I mean, the age of Pedro is over. Doomsday's going to drive that home. But who else takes the blame? Guys, what do you think? Andy, weigh in, please. I'd love to know who you think is going to be the person that takes this. Falls on their sword.
Does DeMauro have the stones to blame Iger for it? I think that would sort of be... I mean, obviously, it's his fault, him and Kennedy's fault. Their egos were the ones driving this. I'm sure that they could try and pull some kind of magical stunt where they take all the kids from the Quality Learning Center and give them a bus day out to the movies and give them the magical tickets where they just buy the seats. Not that they would ever do that. I think Filoni, this is going to go into his file. So if they need a sacrificial lamb at some point after this, he'll be the one to get hung out to dry. Clearly, it's Kennedy's fault. A lot of these things he had no control over. Not that I'm a big Filoni guy. He's not my cup of tea. But I don't think he should be blamed for this. The whole reason this is doing so badly is because of the state of the franchise. And that's been a project, 12 years in the running. The only thing they put out that was halfway decent was Rogue One, and even that has some issues. Now, the one thing that does strike me with this is that compared to all the other things, the Dial of Destiny, how woke everything was, how offensively woke and distasteful everything was to the average fan, this had none of that, and it still made no difference.
Yeah, and it feels to me, and I was talking with somebody today about this this morning. It really does feel to me like that Star Wars fans are punishing this, like actively punishing it. And I think it's because the message is we're not going back until the sequel trilogy is erased. Whatever that takes, I don't think people are coming back until then. I mean, this is literally a dead end for Disney. They're in checkmate. You can either get rid of the sequel trilogy and the franchise can go on and make you billions of dollars, or you can burn it down.
Imagine that you had washed up on a tropical island, and there you saw a number of natives with spears and masks and fearsome-looking things having a barbecue.
Is this an Indiana Jones starter here? What are we doing?
No. I'm just saying, while you might think it may be a good idea to go up and introduce yourself as a new neighbor, being as they're already stoking flames and have spears, there's a good chance that you may be the one over for dinner and not to consume it.
Right.
And that is where this is at right now. Now, I think it's important to examine the way that you're asking this question. Who takes the most blame in the media? Which I don't think is what the chat is really keying on.
You think they just believe it's who's responsible, not who the media will blame? Because there's a whole other meta game to this, right? The meta game is, who does it advantage the industry and Disney? Who does it advantage them to blame? It's not who really deserves the blame. Who do they get more out of blaming?
Right. And the fact of the matter is, Kennedy is the most responsible, but Filoni is the current CEO. It's not going to land at his feet. Poop rolls downhill. They're going to pin this on Jon Favreau.
Oh wow. Okay, I really wasn't going to go there.
I'm shocked. Yeah. I tell you that of all of the analogies Lauren would use, he uses the one that ends with the punchline, "It tastes like chicken."
Lauren will tell you it tastes like pork, which
it actually, yes, man tastes like pork.
How does he know?
I question everything about Lauren. Okay, wait. Wiz, go ahead, Luke. Go ahead.
Look, there's plenty of blame to go around. And that's why both Iger and Kennedy left before the Mando hit the fan. They didn't want to be standing there when this happened, and they knew. They had to know. They do a lot of research, a lot of audience research. They had to know if it was a really good movie, it was still going to have problems because of all of the crap that's come before it.
Right.
So now, blame? What blame? We're moving on. The question is, what do they do next? That person will make the blame or not blame game work.
So the chat is wanting to know about the Simon Kinberg trilogy. Are we going to cover it? What do we think about it, etc.? And my answer to that is, I don't think it's real. I think it's as real as a Rian Johnson trilogy. I mean, maybe it's a very pathetic attempt to get some other kind of story going in the face of Mandalorian, but I mean, you can't make a trilogy after the sequel trilogy now. And even the actuaries at Disney, when you go in and make the pitch, they're going to say, no. I mean, can you imagine the Rey movie now? I mean, can we make it for a nickel?
The way you phrased that sounded like a pleading question, which made it more comedic.
Yeah. You want to do what? So the sequels have to go. The only thing I think they can do, and by the way, I don't think they're going to blame Favreau because I think he's too useful to them, and he can go and be an enemy to them if they do that. So, but the only option I see on the table for them at this point is Luke Skywalker, Jedi Master, and I don't know how they're going to do it. And I don't think as long as the sequel trilogies exist, people will still tune into it. But that's it. They either give people what they waited 30 years for, and this is, folks, this is what you need to understand. Disney executives, look at your friend Pro. I am your friend. I am your doctor. I want to rid you of what you've been dealing with, okay? I want to help you make lots of money. Money, 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 Disney. They waited 30 years for Luke Skywalker to be a freaking Jedi Master, and you didn't give them that. And they're angry. And you can either give them that and take away the other, the Jake guy, or this whole franchise is on e-brakes for the rest of time. Wiz, true, false, negative?
I think
Wiz is going to blackmail this.
I think you're close, but I think I think people want an apology. And it's and deleting the sequel, the sequel trilogy, I don't think is enough of an apology. People are at the point now, just across the board. We're sick of corporations getting away with things like this forever. It's not just entertainment. It's not just Disney. It's people are fed up with feeling like they're being taken advantage of. And I think deep down, people want to see Disney shamed and paraded through the streets. And I think even if you were to drop a Luke Skywalker now, it's too little too late. You're not going to get people back. The trust is gone. And I don't think that's a matter of black pill. I think this is just people unknowingly being like, you know what?
So who are they? Who's going to apologize, or who is going to be apologized for?
What we need a Bob Iger or a Kathleen Kennedy or like somebody, Dave Filoni. That would be golden to say, yeah, we got it wrong for a long time. But it is the apology that can't ever happen.
And that can happen. You're saying, Wiz, you think it's as simple as they don't have to come out and say, oh please, but you're saying if they come out and they just admit,
yes,
we've gotten this wrong, and we're going to right the ship, and then they act upon it, Star Wars fans would forgive them.
Because it would be it is something that can never happen, because then it would go into, well, wait a second, you were lying to your shareholders then, Disney, because you didn't know what you were doing. You were operating in bad faith, and that's a problem. It's something that would never, ever happen, but it would. If there was a confessional of Dave Filoni to come out and say, under the previous regime here at Disney and Lucasfilm, they did not know what they're doing. Moving forward, we're going to try to give the fans what they want. That would get people back. It is something they could never do. They can't do it because it would be a shareholder problem.
I think they can. Wow. I think they can come out and gently say, we've went astray. We're going to bring it back. We hear you. We're not ready to talk about what we're going to do, but we hear you and we understand.
And why should we believe them?
Well, 50% won't.
They have no credibility.
50% won't, but then they have to do something that follows it up. I mean, if it's nonsense, it's over still, but it's already over. So, Andy, you were trying to weigh in. What did you have to say?
You need both. You need the apology, and then you need the Luke movie. But go ahead, Andy.
Well, once you do even if you do the apology, you're still going to have the purple-haired septum rings screaming at the top of their lungs, calling you all kinds of names, and you're going to get a lot of bad press. And you have the media out there that will love to give them that spotlight to make them seem like they're a larger contingent than they are.
Well, plus the internet is forever. If they made that apology, they're going to go back and pull out every time they told us, no, we know what we're doing. You don't know. And well, it's the fans' fault. We're going to see those quotes the same way we're seeing in the political sphere, where somebody suddenly says they're turning a new leaf and they say, but 20 years ago you said this, and 10 years ago you did that, and 5 years ago you told us you didn't know that was a Nazi tattoo.
Well, luckily, the people who were so insulting are mostly gone now. So you can pull up Kathy, you can pull up Bob, but Filoni isn't publicly out there doing that very much. He's got some really dumb statements, but not incendiary statements.
Well, at what point, though, do these major hedge funds and investors have to take some of the responsibility, because they were saying everything was hunky-dory and buy some more stock too?
Well, the fact that the fact that Star Wars toys are not going to move now, that's the first time that investors will get involved, because investors will say, wait a minute, hold on. That's part of the entire economy of Disney. So, and the other thing is too, and Andy, if you want to weigh in on this, because I know you're a toy expert, what gets the attention of the investors, which is a completely different thing than the fans, is the idea that, what if this happens to Marvel in December, and what if those Iron Man and Doctor Doom toys don't move off the shelves? What if whoever Chris Evans is playing doesn't move off the shelves because we couldn't turn him into Captain America. What's going on? And now they're going to start making phone calls and saying, by George, you better fix this because both boy brands are not going down. So they're going to be hearing from Hasbro. They're going to be hearing from their other partners, Walmart, Target, Costco, et cetera, saying, you fix it and you fix it now. And then the pressure comes on Filoni from the C-suite from Disney.
I love that thing that came out several years ago talking about the study about how boys play and how girls play. Girls want to be the character and boys want to become Batman. Girls want themselves to be playing with Barbie and hanging out with them, and boys want to actually transform into Batman. Number of factors that declining birth rate. We don't have kids that play with toys. My daughter is an elementary school teacher, and she sees this a lot with the parents these days are more concerned with the mess that their kids can make rather than how much fun and creativity they can instill in them. And that, I think that's a problem because they're looking at this stuff like, you know what, if I give the kid a tablet, I don't have to clean up crayons. I don't have to step on toys, anything like that. Isn't it so much nicer? And it's educational, they'll tell themselves. The fact of the matter is that the majority of your collectors are adult collectors now. And they're the ones that you really ticked off in favor of these people with, the septum rings that don't buy anything because, well, protesting doesn't pay that well. And that you just have them out there doing things for show. The merchandising is really, it used to be cool to wear a Star Wars shirt. Now I think you'd get mocked. I think you would be made fun of. I mean, when was the last time you ever saw anybody wear a Force Awakens shirt outside of when the movie came out?
I just think most of the kids don't know what Star Wars even is anymore.
Star Wars doesn't know what Star Wars is anymore.
Right. So I want to give Lauren the final say on this because Lauren, you're the biggest Star Wars aficionado we have. You love the stuff. What do you think in terms of where do we go from here? What's the solution for Lucasfilm at this point? Do they do the mea culpa? Are their backs against the wall to the point now they have no other options?
Well, other than letting it die, you mean? I don't know what the solution is. I think that Wiz is absolutely right that what the community wants is an actual sincere apology. But even if they got one, they wouldn't believe it. So that's the first problem. I think that they have spent so much time actively hurting their fans that the fans now want to hurt them right back. It's one of those things where it's like the sheer arrogance of the people in charge to think that they could tell their customers that you're just a vocal minority and we don't really want you. It's like, we're the people who kept Lucasfilm alive for 30 years. Star Wars was dead. The prequels were never going to be made until Lucy Autry-Wilson convinced George Lucas to let her try out a publishing plan. And when the novels took off, and then they restarted the Power of the Force line of action figures, they realized, oh my gosh, there is latent interest in this property that they had no idea was there. And they kept experimenting with different things. Let's try games now. And they were selling everything. And they realized, we're in a position where we can make the prequels. And that's what George did. And let me tell you about merchandising. Nothing will ever eclipse the merchandising that they did for the Phantom Menace. Andy can tell you all about that.
Merchandising. Spaceballs even made a scene about it, right?
Yeah, but I mean, at that point, ILM was just a contract studio for other people's movies. Yeah. None of this stuff ever would have come back if not for those people that Kathleen decided she didn't need anymore.
That's right.
It to me, it begs a very interesting question. Maybe I'm wrong, but see what you think. So much of the content has been about Disney Plus. And we've talked in the past about the opportunity cost of doing Disney Plus as opposed to just sitting back and licensing all of Disney's content to these other people like Netflix and what they would have saved as far as not built. What if that had happened? Would 90% of this stuff that disappointed us ever begun to get close to get made if it had to be a feature film to get made?
It's a great question.
Disney Plus has triggered the downfall
of
the Walt Disney Company.
Connected. They're absolutely connected.
Has there ever been a movie that was a converted season to a TV show that was successful? Or has there ever been a TV show where the finale is a movie instead of the TV show, and it's successful? I mean, I can't think of any. So this was a crazy idea from the get-go, right?
The only TV shows that I can think of that got turned into features is when they used to recut TV shows to be overseas features. They did it with Columbo. They did it with Man from U.N.C.L.E., where they'd take 2 or 3 episodes and put them together and release them in theaters in places where there wasn't the huge built-in television presence. But not something like this, not a culminating event like a big finale or a big denouement of a long, ongoing, beloved story. So, yeah.
Well, the other factor is, too, that back in the old days when you had 3 channels to choose from, you had a lot of viewers that would tune in for just those things. And you could take a property like that and put it out there. Now there's so many choices out there that you can't get a big enough audience on one show. I mean, when they have had those big moments like Stranger Things, it usually lands. Game of Thrones is like the worst case scenario, and everything is like moving up in small increments of suck just above that. There's nothing. Stranger Things didn't do it. It's like you had, even with John Wick, you had the Continental show on Amazon Prime that didn't do that great and wasn't, and the Ballerina, which is kind of lackluster, but it's still probably a viable franchise as long as you keep it nourished correctly.
Well, there's one thing about it, folks. Now it seems certain Dial of Destiny will beat The Mandalorian. So will Rachel Zegler. And it's now in competition to try to beat Dark Phoenix. Who ever thought that Star Wars could land so low? Well, Kathleen Kennedy put it here. And the folks who told you if you don't like it, go watch it, it turns out you listened to them. And they're getting exactly what they wanted.
Okay, a little bit of this here.
What are you two doing? You better not be sending Marvel another bot campaign demanding they bring back She-Hulk.
That was only like 17 times. Now we're way past that now.
So then, what are you going to do today then?
We're sending Pedro Pascal love letters. You know, low-level stuff.
What?
Okay, wait.
I've been betrayed.
Why would you do that? He already gets the wrong message from everyone.
Well, he needs more sizzle in his life.
Okay. You know there's even some lines for even for you.
They're called borders. They're negotiable. Putin told me, listen to me, Yachbite. In Mother Ruski, we draw in pencil to correct, mistakes. But no, these letters aren't from me per se.
They're from Jonas.
Jonas, yeah.
Jonas.
I'm calling WDW Pro right now. You know what? I hope Jonas sues you for this.
Do you think we should tell Floral about this cease and desist letter he received from some weird soup-obsessed man? Maybe we could tell people to like, share, and subscribe. Then we could really let this play out.
Use the codes to play 4 teachers, baby.
Yeah. Like Democrats.